To Brother Amin, Brother Bo Gaden, brothers and sisters here, I have come as a descendant of Sudan. As far as science can be trusted, my maternal ancestors came from Sudan, although I was born in the United States, and was given a Ghanaian name and kingship. I stand in solidarity with the so-called marginalized people of Sudan, the people of Nubia, the Nuba Mountains, Darfur, the Blue Nile, Abyei, Beja, and the recently independent people of the Republic of South Sudan. I speak here today in the name of Afrocentricity International, a worldwide African organization led by Sister Amma Mazama, one of the most brilliant Afrocentric thinkers on the planet. I am the international representative to this organization, and we express our complete solidarity with the indigenous people of Sudan. The Khartoum regime must go. And in its place, the Sudanese people must elect a government that wants to live in peace with the original inhabitants of the land of Sudan. I want to affirm several things. I affirm that Sudan is an African country, that its history was black long before it was Arab. I want to affirm that I believe in fairness and justice and democracy, and that I believe it is possible for many ethnic groups to live in harmony and peace so long as there is justice. But we know that like a monstrous octopus with many appendages, the Khartoum regime is striking everywhere in order to find the weakest link in the solidarity of the Sudanese people. They are attacking the South Kordofan region by pushing the Nuba Mountain people out of their land. They are fighting against the Nubian people in their lands. They are killing the Beja in their lands. And they are not finished fighting with the people of South Sudan. The Merowe Dam project that displaced the Manzia people in Kordofan and Port Sudan provinces is a memorial to disrespect. It is like the Kajba Dam project. These are projects that submerge the Nubian sites of civilization and remind us of what Nasser did in southern Egypt and northern Sudan. More than 400 historical sites of the Nubian culture were submerged under the lake. Had it not been for the United Nations and some democratic nations, Ramses at Abu Simbel would have been underwater. Where is Wadi Halfa today? Not New Halfa, Wadi Halfa. Who moved the river people to the desert? Look, the question is, do these projects support the economic well-being of the African people? Or are we seeing an Arab invasion as dangerous as the European invasion of North America? Look, if you are Arab, then your ancestors are not indigenous to Africa. You are the guest in somebody else's home. And as guests, you ought to have good manners. I do not care how long you've been in my house, 10 hours or 100 years. It behooves you to have good manners and recognize the owners of the land. Look at the conflict in Darfur. The Fur-Arab conflict started as an economic assault, who claim, and then these ethnic groups who claim Arab identity, they began to fight the African owners of the land. In this way, what we see that they treat the indigenous people with disrespect, and they show no respect. But who are the Sudanese Arabs? Aren't they the people who have forgotten their grandmother's language? Why have they turned? Do you understand? Why have they turned on Africans who have kept their traditions and who respect their ancestors? Why do they want to eliminate blacks from Sudan? If their ideology is good for them, they should keep it, not impose it on anyone else. This pattern of emptying the lands and replacing them with Arab settlers is something that we know about in the United States. Dispossession is one of the methods of aggression. We know it. The Native Americans of Manhattan lost their land to the Dutch. The Apache of Arizona lost their land to the English. We know something here about dispossession. In Sudan, Africans have vowed that they will not be dispossessed of their lands anymore. The regime in Khartoum must go. Sudan is the battleground for preventing the destruction of African culture and civilization. Now is the time for all Sudanese, even those who have been confused, to rise up against a regime that disrespects the indigenous people. I beg you, united people, give the Khartoum regime no weak links. Let them not use you against another group. Don't let them use you to fight each other, fight among yourselves. Fight the urge to take the bait they offer one group while killing another. I ask you, dear brothers and sisters, support what is fair and just and democratic, and be vigilant. Africans did not lose Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, and Mauritania overnight. When the Arabs came to Africa, it was a black continent. Although Egypt had been under Persian, Greek, and Roman rule, in 639 AD, when General El-Al was asked by the black people to come to Egypt to help throw off the Romans, they came, and we didn't know at the time that they would remain in the land, force a new ideology, a new language, and a new morality on the people. In many places, even with the new ideology, we Africans learn to live in harmony with others. How were we to know the descendants of those who had built the pyramids in Kemet and the 200 pyramids around Meroe and Napata? How were we to know that our lands would be confiscated? How were we, who had given the world the greatest lineage of queens in the world, how were we to know that our civilizations were to be assaulted by an anti-black, anti-African ideology? How were we the ones who had tamed the Nile in our own lands and had sent culture and civilization down toward the Mediterranean? How were we to imagine that a people would come from the desert and claim our land as their birthright and try to force us into bondage? Look, how were we to know that those we had invited would become aggressors? Who was to tell us these things? But now we know the truth, and truth makes us vigilant. We demand an end to violence against the unarmed people of Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, the Beja, the Nubia, Abyei, and South Sudan. The so-called marginalized people and their so-called are really the majority of the population of Sudan. Their rights must be respected. And I call upon the African Union, the United Nations, and the United States government under Barack Obama. I call upon Susan Rice. I call upon the Congressional Black Caucus to take notice of the will of the majority of the people of Sudan. And so the catalogs of crimes against the Sudanese regime is long, because they have destroyed so many people. In fact, you know the story that they in fact invited, the defense minister Hussein invited 8 million Egyptians to come and settle in Sudan to take Sudanese lands. In the name of Afrocentricity International, we call for continued solidarity with truth and vigilance against all forms of oppression in Sudan. Our aim is unity. Victory is our destiny. Long live the spirit of John Garang.